And I will tell you this, that it is a full moon in an air sign. So it's an air full moon. So we are definitely experiencing. I will tell you this, that it is a uh I have to hear the feedback to know that we're live. Uh yeah, no, it's a full moon right now, and we're in an air sign, so we've got a lot of energy. Maybe we're just channeling it. We're making sure we're using it wisely. And again, you can't see my earrings. Another day with my backdrop. But I love my backdrop, so we're using it. We're using it. Okay, so let's pull up our notes. So for a welcome. Started on Zoom and now I'm over here. So welcome to the Present and Profitable Masterclass. We're talking about how to create a new normal for you as a mompreneur, because nothing is the same now that you're a mom and an entrepreneur. Okay. I personally was an entrepreneur turned mom, so that rocked my world. And then some of us are moms who are turning entrepreneur. Maybe you just became a mom and you're noticing that, you know what, I really would like to be there for my kids, and work from home and have income, maybe more income than I'm making at my job, where sky's the limit and I'm just making endless income to afford all the opportunities that I want to give my kids, and et cetera, et cetera. So all the incentive is there, especially as a new mom, right? So in either camp, you're in the right place. And I will say this, I've been drawn to working with moms who are creators, who consider themselves creators, because we're all creative, right? We're all creating something from nothing. When you think about it, if you're an inventor, maybe there's something that you want to invent, create in the world, put out in the world, inspire others to use to better their worlds. If you're a thought leader, you've got a message, a book in you, a keynote speech, a TED talk, not a TEDx, but a TED talk, right? We're going for uh, the home runs here. Then you are in the right place, because that mindset right there, that aspiration is what I want to help you get to. Okay. Because we don't have to burn out trying to get to that ultimate dream, right? That utopia. Well, like, oh, that would feel really great to have a TED talk. Because that would skyrocket my brand, or whatever you're thinking is, I guess, the domino effect from you having this, right? Of you having experienced this particular thing in your world. Then you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about that. And you're going to get the most out of this masterclass if you do have some idea of what you want to leave and what you want to move into, right? You, I'm the declutterist. So of course we are, if we're just now meeting, I'm Yvette, the declutterist. Hi, nice to meet you. If you are moving out from a state of frenzy and overwhelm and piling too much on your plate and basically burned out as either an entrepreneur or a mom or both, then you want to move into the energy of ease and flow and abundance, right? You want to be less burnt out. You want to be less overwhelmed and overworked and underappreciated, right? So we're making that transition. If you have that in mind, this will really serve you as you take part in the masterclass. And this is a two-way conversation. So we can take questions on Zoom. We could take questions on YouTube. Just know that I'll be monitoring the chat. So, talk to me, engage. I love that you're on here live. So thank you. And if you do submit a comment or anything in the replay, for instance, on YouTube, then just know that I'll get back to that. I personally want to respond to all the comments, as many comments as I can. So please keep them coming. But if you are basically a burned out mompreneur and you're juggling the responsibilities and the unpredictability of motherhood and business, and your goal is to become more productive within those constraints, you're in the right place. Okay. Because I want to show you how to do both with ease. Okay. Let's really talk about that. Let's really dial that in. Um, if you're feeling really ambitious and you're not really finding the time right now to fit in all that ambition because you are a mom, because you feel like, kids come first, you know, absolutely. Right. My priority role is mother. I knew that the minute my first son was born. I was like, boop. complete light switch went on, and I was like, okay, this is what matters most. And so how does everything get to be built around this priority role? And then it was priority number two, right? Then there was priority number three. And then there was like, I see, basically how everything starts to fit into my life perfectly, in a way that doesn't overwhelm me, that doesn't leave me scattered and feeling really spread thin. Um, I like to believe, because I feel as though I am walking and operating in a very light and free flowing world as both mom and entrepreneur, because I'm purposefully not piling too much on my plate. I'm purposefully setting boundaries. I'm purposefully saying no to things that would really just jam up my calendar and probably make me really frazzled should that day arrive and I realize, oh, Johnny's homesick and I can't do this, and how bad I feel as a friend canceling plans. When the reality is it's unpredictable. There's no way we can absolutely say without the shadow of a doubt that on Tuesday next week, this and this and this is going to happen, and my family's going to be okay. And I mean, we can. Okay, hold on. Let me backtrack. We can say my family will be okay. That we can make sure that we're drawing a line in the sand and saying we're going to be okay. We are going to be better than okay. We're going to be abundant and rich and robust and have the most luxurious life, right, that I could fathom, because I am putting my sights on that. I'm putting my intention out to have it so. And so God, the universe, the divine is behind us every step of the way saying, oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. As long as you're crystal clear on what it is that you want, and you want to feel like my kids are going to be fine. My kids are going to be okay. My kids are healthy, happy, whole. And I'm so grateful and filled with joy because of it. And then I also equally am happy, healthy, whole, and I feel equally abundant and full of opportunity, and life is just really good. I can make that statement and say with absolute clarity that that is the truth. That is my truth, and I'm living it out. And so when you have that clarity on that, right, then you're like, okay, well, Tuesday, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't know what the weather is going to be. I don't know if someone will cancel. I don't know if somebody will be homesick. I don't know anything. I don't know if I'll be the one homesick having to cancel, right? Nobody really knows outside of what you can control is really your response to all of that happening. And my response is, for instance, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And in fact, should anything have to cancel on that random Tuesday in the future, I will, um, it will settle itself out, right? The client won't be upset. In fact, they'll understand. And maybe you have even better requests for a date in the future because that date didn't work for them either. And you can kind of create these scenarios where self-fulfilling prophecy says that will happen, right? Why, as mothers, do we tend to err on the side of worrying so much? And I mean, we know the answer because we want the best for our family. We want to make sure that we're constantly alert and aware to all the threats that could compound and leave us vulnerable, right? And in alert and not able to protect our young, protect our offspring, make sure our family is secure, safe, and held, right? And I'm able to do so, right? Because that would make me feel maybe super helpless if I didn't know that they were okay. And that feeling really is depleting. And if you're feeling depleted in any area of your life, it's going to show up in your business. It's going to show up at home. It's going to show up with your relationship with your kids, you feeling helpless, right? So you, as somebody who can create their own reality, can create that self-fulfilling prophecy and err on the side of something super magical and wonderful instead of the worry, right? Instead of the lack, instead of saying, oh, woe is me, everything's gonna, if that happens, if this happens, if they cancel, if I cancel, then this, right? It's kind of this if then the worst kind of scenario, this equation that so many of us are so used to. I think because we come from, our parents' generation, they had that little bit of a fear mongering bias because of their parents from the Great Depression, and that whole thing kind of skyrocketed. And now we're feeling a little more free, right? As a nation, as a world, as a community, we're feeling a little bit more free, maybe more access, right? Because of really, we're a fingertip away from the answer, pretty much, or the solution, the person who has what you're looking for, right? On Amazon. And I think because of that availability, we're realizing, okay, yeah, wow, we can have it all. And so I think in the pursuit to have it all, we maybe start to add layers of complexity, and that really compounds the worry because then it's too much to juggle. But then when you narrow in on, oh, this is my focus, this is where my priorities are, and anything outside of these priorities doesn't really matter right now. It's not as important. In fact, it can wait. Then, oh, what a sigh of relief, right? What a breath of fresh air. And in fact, let's take a big breath in on that. Big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Right? Let the shoulders just drop and feel that weight release when you know, like, "Ugh, you know what? I can only control what I can control. I can't control that random future Tuesday and what will happen then, but I can control that, how I'm responding. I can control that I'm connecting and bonding with my kids on a regular daily basis. They know I'm here for them. They know they're loved. They know that mommy is maybe doing this work. When she goes off into that room and closes the door and says you can't enter until an hour later, then I'm doing it for us, right? I want to give you the world, and I think those little conversations aren't had enough. I think a lot of my parent, I'll tell you, I'll just be frank, my parents really got off saying no, and no rationale, no explanation. There was nothing after no. Because I said so was probably the only thing after no. Whereas sometimes I feel that way with my kids because I said so. Uh, but more so than not, more often than not, I want them to understand where I'm coming from because this is a mutual dialogue. I don't want to rain on their parade. I don't want to take something from them. I don't want to just have them think that, yeah, okay, so mom says no, and it's the end. And I know that's gonna present some problems for me down the line when I do have to always explain. And sometimes I just want the answer to be no. But I think the more we invest in the rationale and the explanation and coming to terms, like, well, this is why, actually, safety first, because it's not safe. And right now, I feel really nervous that you're not ready for that, whatever. And then they get to chime in and say their 2 cents. And then you guys get to have a dialogue about it. And then you make a decision. And imagine that as a teen, right? A teenager coming to the table with some ideas and this is what I'd like for my life. And I really like you on board, mom. And then I get to kind of say my 2 cents. And then based on where we're at with strength and ability and agility and all of that, then I can say, okay, yeah, you can go ride your bike there or go to the skate park or whatever it is. Uh, then, you kind of feel less worrisome. And then the times when you do have to say no because I said so, those being fewer and far between than maybe you are used to, it lands a little softer. It lands a little easier. They get it. They're like, oh, mom's serious this time. Okay. All right, mom. Okay, we'll try again in, for next week's play date. We'll ask again next week. And then it just feels a little bit more inclusive in the household. And that to me is the ultimate bond, right? The ultimate unbreakable bond is when you feel seen, heard, and loved in your household, right? Everybody wants to. I think that's a lot of why marriages disintegrate is because you stop feeling seen. So you stop feeling heard and you stop feeling loved. However, when you look within, which we really need to talk about, is you kind of start to notice where you're not putting yourself forward to be seen, where you're not wanting to be heard because you're not saying it. You're not asking for help. You're not putting it out there. You're being a little more passive aggressive. And then maybe you're not loving yourself. You're, in fact, maybe holding grudges against yourself. You're not trusting yourself. You're maybe a little self-loathing in that area because there's a lot of guilt, a lot of regret, a lot of shame. And that's where a lot of moms, and with or without, entrepreneurship or whatever the career choice, are feeling a lot of shame, and that results in isolation, and that is a low vibration. And so we want to raise our mom frequency. We want to raise our mom frequency into one of creatorship, right? Where we truly ultimately reside in the seat of creator. And that is how I want us to look at creating our new normal. Okay. So let's get into it. Let me pull up my notes here. Was that a long enough intro? uh, big breath in, big breath out, because we didn't really finish that. Big breath in, big breath out. And on this last one together, let's take an inhale through the nose and then out through the nose. And then hold that empty. Now breathe in. Normal breath. Be here with me now. Hopefully that made you feel like you've arrived right in this space right here with me now, and you're present to get the most out of this masterclass and ask questions. So throw out any questions, and I will find the right time to weave that in. I might already have the answer for you coming in the agenda here. I've got a light agenda. But if we are meeting for the first time, I'm Yvette. I consider myself your less is more coach. I'm a clarity and mindset coach, and I really do the work of helping to declutter minds, and especially the minds of mothers who are very busy minded, many entrepreneurs, very busy minded, and we've got a lot going on, a lot to do. We're anticipating the next thing, right? We're 5 steps ahead in most cases. And when we feel like we're behind, it is an energy suck. It is a zap of our resolve and our motivation to feel as though we are behind, we're not cutting it, and therefore somehow impacting negatively our family. So a lot of weight right on our shoulders as moms. And so I I want this to be guided by what I feel you need to hear. That I think is, if I had to sum up my goal really for any masterclass that you find yourself in with me, is that I want to um, say it in a way where you finally hear it and it clicks for you in a way that you need it to click, because that missing piece just got filled in, that hole in your puzzle where you were like, I can't, put my finger on why this isn't working. What's wrong with me? What am I doing? Where is this going? And is it all going to fall apart? Right? Because I'm holding it together by literal blood, sweat, and tears. And the minute I let up, all will just fall away and be ruined. And it'll be my fault. And I'll live a life of regret. And I'll shoulda, woulda, couldas. And it'll just eat me alive till I'm, dead and buried. We don't want that. So we'll take a big breath in on that. And breathe that out, because that is not real. That is not true. We don't need to go that route. We want to raise our vibration here. But I just want to do the best that I can to channel what you might need to hear so that you walk away with incredible value. Okay, so that's the point of this. And the President Profitable Masterclasses really this series began with me knowing, right, from my clients, from myself, first and foremost, myself. I will definitely say I was a proud guinea pig in the beginning, as a new mom and an ongoing established entrepreneur trying to kind of figure out how my business really fit in still around my new life, and my 2 babies, and that we want to be present and profitable, right? We want to be present as mother, present to our clients, present to just this life unfolding, because what beautiful core memories are happening right now before our eyes. And if I blink, I'll miss it. Like, if I'm not paying attention, then what's it all for? Right. And that my kids will lose contact with me, right? They'll lose the connection. They won't be bonded with me because I never spent the time. I never sat down and slowed down enough to get on the same page. What do they need? Talk to me. Where are you at? Right? What developmentally, what's that milestone you're at right now? I want to see if if you've met it, so that I can tell the pediatrician that, oh yeah, they got that. There's nothing like just being like, oh yeah, yep, yep, yep. When the pediatrician's asking you and they do this, yeah, and they're on their tummy, they lift their head, and they're chewing, right? Um, they're eating solids, right? They're moving on. And so this is all part of being present, right? A present mother. And then you also want to be profitable. You want to be profitable as a business owner. You want to be profitable so that you can have all of your wildest dreams come true. You want to afford all the nice luxury vacations. You want to, yeah, fly business class or private, whatever floats your boat. And you want to take your family with you, and you want to have this amazing vacation experience. You want to have the house of your dreams in the community neighborhood of your dreams, right? You don't just want a beautiful home in like a really crappy neighborhood that maybe makes you feel like, you're not safe. You definitely want to feel safe. Or, and I will say there's this show on Netflix, Worst Neighbor Ever. That'll make you start to look at what neighborhoods you're actually getting into and who you take, yeah, worst neighbor ever, right? Yeah, where you live. Because there's another one in that same series, I guess, worst roommate ever. So I don't, if you're renting a room, whatever. Right. So it's kind of like you want to think through the things that you want, and having more income or revenue really does afford you those opportunities to get into that place of your dreams, right? To be able to pay cash for that house, that car, that experience, right? All those annual passes to the zoo and to Disneyland and things like that. And that's, I mean, yeah, that factors in a lot of your kids, but also that's an experience for you. These are things you want to do too, I'm sure, right, with your kids. And then also the spas, the facials, the retreats that you want to go to alone, right, to rejuvenate yourself. That form of self care profits help fund, right? So the profits from your business help fund a really, truly juicy, lovely dream life. And that's what we want, right? So we want to be both present and profitable when building our business. And so if you know that that is the intention for your business, then you start to create the foundation necessary to have that be the business model that gives you time, right? A business that doesn't suck you dry, that doesn't leave you no time to live your life, right? Leaves you no time for your kids. It's like, did you start this business to spend more time with your kids or less? And if it's feeling like you're starting to just really not have any time for them, either you're just in your head a lot about all the ways this isn't working, or all the ways you aren't doing enough. You've got to go do XYZ in order to make this work. Where are you coming from when you think that way, right? And how is that perpetuating a business where you have to do, hustle, 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 run on the hamster wheel, live in the rat race, and contend with the other rat racers, because you guys are competing on the same terms, right? The terms of external validation, the terms of physical, tangible money, right? I need to show this because of my status, versus like, no, money is just energy. And like every other energy I attract money with ease, based on how I'm being. So, yeah, this is very much like attracts like. So, how you're being is what you're receiving. And when we're thinking about creating a new normal, right? When we're transitioning from entrepreneur to mom, or mom to entrepreneur, and there is a little bit of that identity crisis like I experienced, then you are like kind of a fish out of water. I don't know what I'm doing here, and what does the situation need from me? And I feel really helpless. I feel like I've lost control. I feel like I lost sight of what I'm doing. Why does anybody need me? Why do I need to be here? And these were just some of the thoughts I thought. And I don't know if you've had experiences with identity crisis, but I would lie in bed. And I remember clearly being in bed, imagining my life ending, and saying that they'd be better off. My kids would be better off without me, because I believed, and it was PPD. I was definitely down in the dumps. Uh, and hormonally, psychologically, everything was just bubbling up and causing me to really doubt myself. And so that was the epitome of an identity crisis. And when I found myself in that dark night of the soul, imagining, should I no longer be here, however that happens, you know, my kids are going to be okay because maybe they're better off without me because I'm such a sorry excuse for a mom, right? This kind of dialogue. The minute I cleaned that dialogue up, everything changed because I came from a place that remembered who she was. And I did some vision work around this, some clarity work. I made sure that I was tapping into not only who I was and how far I'd come in life, right? I had to remember, like, hello, you've got a lot of accolades behind you, right? Just because you're a mom doesn't mean all those go away. Like, you've come a long way. Let's acknowledge, let's celebrate. And now you've got two beautiful babies, and this is what you've always wanted: the house, the home, the car, the husband. All of this is here. This is what you've wanted, what you've dreamed of. Now what? Right. And then from that place of a more empowered state, I was able to create a life of my dreams, right? And continue to create a life of my dreams because this is an ever evolving situation, right? We're constantly growing and evolving and choosing what we want next. And so I will tell you this, that transition sucks when you don't have the acknowledgement and the honoring and the decision around how your new normal will be, how you want to start to live and operate in your world, and who you want to be. And I will tell you this, I'm going to fast forward really fast, and give you a little bit of um, a spoiler. Something that I teach is called the 7W framework. And we go into building your business model so that it takes an account into your priorities, right? So that you've got that top of mind. Everything's built to support that, not the other way around. And so we first want to know, like, who are you when you are coming into this business, into this world, into this seat as mother? Then who are you? Uh, and very often we forget who we are, or we haven't claimed for ourselves that we are that, right? When Jesus said, I am that, God said, I am that. We decide what we are, right? We get to decide that. I mean, it literally, our identity is up for grabs. It's up for the taking. It's up for the deciding. It's up for the designing, how you see fit. And so when you come into this, maybe you're pivoting in your business because you're like, yeah, I do. I need to spend less time in my business and more time with my family. I need to make that transition. It's a hard transition. Like, me, hard meaning clear, like, nope, hard stop, full stop, done. Like, we're transitioning to spending more time with my kids and less time in business. What do I need to do? Right. Well, that from that place of like, well, I know I am a mom who's spending more time with her kids and not being sucked dry by her business. Okay, that is definitely an identity switch that I can get behind and start to operate from and make decisions from, right? That place. And then from who, there's why. Why am I doing this? Why does it matter? Why is it important to me? Why does it light me up from within? And then what am I offering? What am I promising? Right? And what's my story? When I relate and connect with my prospective clients, this is where I've been, and this is where I've gotten to, like, this life of freedom and joy. And I'm actually enjoying motherhood instead of lying in bed and being super depressed. Like, I made it through that, right? And I can see that what it took to get there. I could see what my aha moment was, what clicked for me. And then you've got workflow, right? What's your workflow going to be? Both in the office and at home, right? Both at work and at play. When you are thinking about your workflow, like we said, like I just got done talking about, we want to make sure that it's supporting you living a full life, doing everything else you want to do, not just working, right? So, what's your workflow like? And hopefully, it is very flowy, right? And it's not hard. And I've got to put in all this work in order to achieve this level of success that I see for myself. Well, then that's what you believe. That's a belief. So, how are your current beliefs supporting this particular workflow? This style of working. Are you a workaholic? Do you find yourself working late nights, early mornings, never sleeping, cutting off your kids because you got to go take that call? Like, what are you doing? Is it you want to pick up your kids earlier from daycare, but you're not because you jam packed your day. And so you're barely getting them home in time for dinner and then bedtime. Like there's no time, there's no wiggle room for anything else to happen. And I'm way too exhausted to talk to you much when you start, wanting to talk to mommy when the lights are out. That happens all the time. It's like, okay, you guys are like in full swing on question mode. It's like when their day gets to slow down, all the questions start to come up, right? And so if that's how you're treating your day, then their day is equally jam-packed. Their day is equally not as spacious, and they're feeling just as burnt out as you. And so yeah, at 9 o'clock, and this is not uncommon. I was talking to quite a few moms who like, yeah, at 9 o'clock, let's say that's the bedtime, the kids' questions start, right? Or they they can't put them down, right? They try to close the door and then there's another question, or I have to go pee and I have to da da da. Or it's just all these things because they don't want to be kind of left alone in that space, that silence, the dark. And so they have any excuse to keep you in there because they don't want to be alone, right? And a lot of that is a sign of like, well, how much time did they have with you that day? Do they feel truly connected and bonded with you? And if they don't that day, can they tomorrow? Right? Can you squeeze your kids in for a little bit more time tomorrow? And so these are the conversations, right? We're having, right? When we're creating our workflow. And then workspace, what's your office space look like? What is your um the home office, if you're leaving the house to work, or if you're at the kitchen counter working, right? Whatever it is, what do you need in your workspace to be the most efficient, most productive that you can be in those 20 minutes or those 2 hours? And where are you when you're doing that, right? And what do you need at the ready, right? Water. I definitely need my water at the ready all the time. Your laptop, right? I remember when I was backpacking through Brazil, all I had was my laptop, my phone and my laptop and my backpack. And that felt the lightest, like coolest life experience next to being a mom that I've ever had. And it was so decisive, right? Downsizing that much to be able to just walk around with a backpack and move from city to city and be portable in my business. That was definitely eye-opening, like, okay, yeah, this is definitely how I want to live for the rest of my life. So workspace. And then you've got to think in terms of wealth. What does wealth look like, feel like? Because, to be a millionaire, to be a billionaire, that is just a title. What is the feeling of having enough money to do anything you want to? Tap into that. What is that level of wealth for you? And a lot of us will say, oh, because moms are scared to want. A lot of moms will say, oh, I I just want enough, right, to get by. Uh, when you think that, when you envision that, you just getting by, is that just more of the same, more of barely surviving? Is that more struggle, um, clenching your hands because more bills are piling up than revenues coming in? I mean, is it more of that? Because what is wealth, right? And can you give yourself the benefit of thinking a little bit bigger, so that there is space? And like I said, money is just energy. So expand that energy and you expand your capabilities, because then you are not doing it all, right? To keep the ship afloat. Like you've got a team, you've got a crew supporting your every move. You want to go that way? Okay, absolutely. Well, let's do it. And you're not doing the steering. You're doing the relaxing, kicking your feet up, jumping in the water, get back on. I mean, this is a yacht we're talking about, right? Where this isn't a fishing boat. So just expand some consciousness around that. And then ultimately, absolutely not last, this probably is kind of the overarching thing that all of this is nestled within: wellness. Um, Wellness is kind of this all encompassing idea that you want your wellness to be considered first. How does this make you um, better in terms of maybe self-actualization? How does this make you healthier? How does this make continue to remind you that you are whole in and of yourself, that you are enough, that you are loved, that you are love, that you don't need anything beyond what you've got right now in this moment to do everything that you want in this world. That everything from this place of wellness attracts more wellness. Not only that, but when you are well, everybody around you who sticks with you, family and everything, colleagues, teammates, clients, they also get well, right? And in their energy, it's you're raising all boats, right? With you as the rising tide, you're raising all of the ships around you. You guys are rising together. And so there is kind of this, not only a wellness collective brewing when you put yourself out there and you start to create this tribe around you, and people who want to do business with you, want to work with you, want to pay you for your time. Not only is it a collective, but it's like this collective consciousness that is happening. You're raising the vibration of the world. And it's, of course, your world because you are the center of your universe. And you can only experience this world out of this body, this perspective that you hold. Only you have these eyes, these senses, right, that experience the world is only yours. Nobody else can tell you objectively that you can experience otherwise, other than you already know to have experienced. And this is where we get to create our experience in the future, create our future, is that and create our reality too, like our present moment. We can kind of like feel into how we want to feel. Like, yeah, I noticed some tension there, and maybe I just roll my shoulders. Right, I'm being present to, oh, that feels uncomfortable, and I'm taking action on bettering that part of me, right? I'm not leaving it for later. I'm not putting myself to the back burner. I'm not letting this linger to where it becomes disease. I'm actually like monitoring the stress, and I'm making sure that I'm not living a stressful life, right? I'm reducing the stress in my life. And that's the first thing when you are, I guess, diagnosed with a disease. What does the doctor say? Reduce your stress. You got to lighten your load. You are taking on too much. Can you skip that meeting, right? This afternoon, can you go home and take a bath? Can you take a nap? Can you rest? And if you can say yes, then you've got wellness in the bag. You are taking the bull by the horns. You are acknowledging that, okay, if I'm not well, then I can't help anybody else be well, right? I can't put the oxygen mask on them. I've got to put it on me. In fact, that's a role of the aircraft, right? It's like put your mask on first, and then you can help others. Because if you lose oxygen, who are you going to help? You'll be dead. So it's very much in that vein that we want to think about that, right? That wellness picture, um, that we lead with our own wellness, and then everybody else will also be well in our energy, just in our proximity, in our midst. They will be able to be well. And so I love that, right? I love that image. And so if you can picture it all kind of contained within this sphere of wellness, everything that you want to create in the world and do in the world, and how you want to mother and who you want to be, all kind of within this. And so I wanted to fast forward that. So I'm jumping the agenda here just to let you know that the transition from mom to entrepreneur does suck without knowing, deciding, and honoring your new normal, um, your new routines, your new rituals, right? The things that you want to take part in on a regular basis so that they fuel you. Um, and your new normal consists of, rest and um, action, both, right? So rest is not thinking of all the things you still need to do. Rest is very much the non doing. And then there's the doing. And together they are the being. And so you being mother consists of both. You being entrepreneur consists of both. And so at any one time, if that's imbalanced, at any point we're doing more than we're not doing, then we're delegating, let's say, or just deciding to not do and delete it from our to-do list entirely. Like if we haven't put those boundaries up, then we're doing more, right? We're more in that masculine. But then the feminine wants to rise up too. And so the feminine will get sick. The feminine will cause a nervous breakdown. The feminine will make you so exhausted that you cannot see straight and you are forced to take a nap. Um, So see how the balance happens. And a lot of times we'll say, you know, I had this big launch, and I after the launch, I was so exhausted, so fatigued, I got sick. And it was like a sick. I've heard many moms say this, where it's like the sick just took you down. And it's like, why does it have to be that way? Why does it have to be such this big high and low roller coaster? And it's because if you didn't maintain the balance within that launch of the feminine, and you were just in the doing and everybody demanding of you, and you were giving, not letting the allowing, right, happen and with for the receiving, then of course your body's going to counter that with, okay, so I need some rest, the much needed rest from that really super masculine output. It's just a balancing game, right? And so, of course, we want to better balance this life. We want to find ourselves in better balance. And so I often say, like, we want to better balance business and babies, because we're constantly in that juggle, and it could feel like a lot until and unless we decide otherwise. And very much when we start to do business differently, right? Then, and taking into account that the feminine aspect, or just the balance of the doing and the non-doing, then we are creating a new way of doing business. And it first came from a thought, right? So first belief, then behavior. You have to rethink business in order to do business differently, right? And to manage your day differently, to set different boundaries, right? It first was born from a thought, thinking differently, like deciding. Notice, decision is a thought. Decision is an awareness that enacts movement, right? So I'm deciding this because I believe this. I've thought about it and I believe it now. I've made a decision to go one of two ways. And then the behavior follows. And then the more we do that, the more we've decided this, and this is just line in the sand and I'm no longer going back, becomes a habit. And then that new healthier habit becomes our new normal. And how much lighter and more free does that feel, right? To have decided that, and then everything else follows, because like attracts like. And everything else follows that belief. And now this behavior feels so light and free and balanced. And I can do the doing and then go home and rest and sleep and feel fully rejuvenated for the next day, because I've given myself equal amounts of time. So my day consists of equal part action and non-action. And that feels good. And when you have a day like that, I heard Oprah say on a recent interview that when she can, like at the end of the day, say, what did I do today? What did I accomplish today? Mind you, she's 70 something, but what did I do today? What did I accomplish today? Nothing. I didn't do anything. But in reality, she read, she was in her garden, she, made a meal, ate a meal, whatever, and sat outside, probably journaled, probably drifted off in thought, probably watched a show or two, probably did a little bit of managing for her podcast and reviewing of some producer notes, whatever she did, right? It doesn't feel like she did much because there was the balance. And so that is, imagine having a day like that where you feel very balanced, then everything starts to have that nice ebb and flow, where I can take on what feels to be like a crazy few days with a sick kid at home, or I can handle maybe a full schedule on my client roster, um, things like that, or lots of coaching calls back to back. um, Maybe don't schedule that much in one day, let your team know. But that kind of thing. Then when those do arise, those kind of tumultuous moments, then you're not thrown out of whack because you know you've got the routine, you've got the behaviors, you've got the habits down that settle you back, right? Settle you back in flow. And this is you creating your own flow, you going with your own flow. And so, yeah, it will feel a lot different than the rat race. It's going to feel a lot different than maybe what you learned in college. It's going to feel a lot different than maybe that first job out of college where you were the underdog and everybody, you were the gopher. You had to get everything, do everything, run around and get you had to pay your dues, right? Those kinds of jobs that felt maybe miserable, or it was the boring data dump jobs and it's like just inputting stuff. Or I think my worst job ever was a telemarketer job. I didn't even hate it. I actually got good at it. Like I saw the who was good at it and why they were, and that taught me a lot about sales, but also just about people. So it wasn't all for naught for sure, but it was probably the most was it the most degrading job I've ever had? Um, Shout out to all the telemarketers there. I definitely don't just hang up on them. I say thank you, but no thank you. Click. Because I don't got time for that anymore. I don't want to waste my time on something I don't need or want. I will not be sold to for things that are just not important. Not of the time right now, not where I am in this season of my life right now. But yeah, I don't want to be rude. But anyway, I had to come from, you know, imagining my new normal when I became a mom. I had to reimagine really how life was kind of gonna kind of fare now that I have these two babies. And I had to reframe what it was going to need from me and how it might impact me to be needed, because we've all been there where you get touched on so much and needed that you get touched out. Like, please don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't touch me. I mean, there were nights I was in my bathroom floor on my bathroom floor, um not just crying. There was times when I was crying, but times when the bathroom was the only place that I could just get away and be left alone, and people just understand, "Oh, yeah, she's using the bathroom." And I was just on my floor like, "I just need a breath. Like, leave me alone." Um, and there's no easy way to say that, especially if you've not had the communication around, "Hey, I need balance too. I need rest too. I know you've had a full day." Say to your partner, "I know you've had a full day too. So have I. I'm working my business and I'm also, mother to these two kids. And if you're stay at home and they're home with you all day, then it's a lot." Even with a nanny helped in spades. But even with a nanny, it was a lot, especially if you're nursing, attachment nursing, and you're kind of on call, right? There's a mental aspect that is drained from you. And if you are mentally drained, there's nothing you can do, right? That's the essence of burnout, the definition of burnout, to just be mentally drained, because that is what gives us the juice, right? We want to be mentally available, mentally aware, mentally alert for our kids and for our family, and what's coming next and how to the next meal. And I haven't even thought about, do we even have the ingredients for that? What can I make in 15 minutes because the kids are starving? Things like that. um And on any given day, right, this is kind of what happens. And if you've not had the conversation around, I need to have at least, this buffer time. If you come home from work and I haven't had a break, or um, maybe, and I said, if I haven't had a break, I'm backpedaling here because I think it behooves the partnership better to just set it and forget it. Meaning, not if I've had a break, because then there's doubt, right? There's assumption happening on either end, and we don't know who's assuming what and what they know to be true. Just when you get home, give me an hour, right? Done. And so that means that gives your partner a chance to have their downtime. Maybe on the commute, they do whatever it takes to make that commute super positive and relieving and down, or they go to the gym before they head home, or they, whatever. But when you're home, I need an hour. Right. And so this is important that you know what you need. And so it took me getting clear on what I needed. What do I need? Well, I know I need rest, probably more than I'm giving myself. I know I need a home cooked meal. So the nanny was on top of that, a home cooked meal 3 times a day. Or I'll just heat up leftovers. Right. So if the nanny just made dinner that day, then I'll have leftovers the next day, right? I'll have a home cooked meal that night, and then tomorrow it'll be my lunch. And then I'm not scrambling for snacks or something sugary and sweet because I'm just desperate for fuel, because there's actually this home cooked meal, right? This well balanced home cooked meal. That feels a lot better. And that is more fueling than any chocolate bar would ever be, right? Any bag of chips would ever be, having that meal and sitting down, right? Then you start to, okay, well, so let's backtrack here. Let's reverse engineer what I need. Well, I need, one meal of sitting down a day. And I would like that to be my with my kids and my husband, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and that's what I need. I need to not have to vacuum ever again, or just not every day. And so does the vacuuming. Then it starts to increase, right? Then it's like, well, now I need 3 home cooked meals. Now I want to sit down for lunch too. I don't just want to eat standing up. I don't want to eat at my desk. I don't, and I want to drink enough water throughout the day, right? And so then you start to like, okay, well, I'm creating this just from pure awareness, just from getting clear on what it is that I want. And from that place, you've got the stamina, the empowerment to now make the decisions necessary to have it so. And so this is what I love, right? This is the stuff that I love, is when it all just clicks and it's like, oh man, wow, just increasing my water intake did that much for me. Wow. Okay, I'm in. I'm in for more. And then a new healthy habit was born. Having greens in the morning with my shake. So AG1, done. No brainer. Order AG1, put it in my water, drink my water, and it's got greens and it's got all vitamins and nutrients and things that I love. And I read the nutrient facts and I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. Makes me feel great, keeps my blood sugar level throughout the day, and yeah, done. Healthier habit, check, done. And so, right, it starts to compound, because like attracts like, and now I'm in my wellness. Now I'm in my flow. And then everything else gets to fall away that doesn't match that vibration. And so just to move on to this next part, before we close out this masterclass, and I'll get to any questions that I didn't answer. I think I've already answered. If I've answered your question, just let me know. Say you've answered it. Then that will help me narrow in on what questions to still answer. But I could have scoured endless coaching calls, I will be honest, with moms. But I just went to Claude instead and just, asked, what do moms deal with, right, on a daily basis when it comes to uh, managing life as a mom and an entrepreneur, but especially life as a mom. And what are we juggling, right? What are we tasked with? What are we burdened mentally and physically with? And I'd say Claude did a nice little lineup, and I went through it and I thought, oh yeah, yep, client said this, this person said that, da, da, da. And so it all resonated. I felt this for sure, so this all resonated, and I did want to just read it. So this is kind of what we're thinking through when we create our new normal. So I'm just going to read this list. You jot down, take notes if anything gels. If you're like, okay, yeah, me too, or it leads you to like another place, just free write. Then I want you to do that. That'd be amazing for your own sanity. But let's go through this list. So what moms want? Let's call that list, right? What do moms want? And so this is just going to be a jump start to you creating your own list of wants and desires so that you can start to create your new normal and your healthy habits, and get all the communication around, this is what mommy's doing now. Okay, from now on, I get a bath at least 3 times a week, I'm going to take a bath, which means mommy's in the in her bathroom, in the bath, to be undisturbed. And you've got whoever else the adult there is taking care of them while you're doing that, right? And knows how important this is, that you just really not be interrupted. So what do moms need? Childcare you can actually trust, not a patchwork of favors, but reliable coverage so that you can take calls without a toddler in the background. um, a partner or a co-parent who treats your business as real work. So not a hobby that flexes around someone else's schedule, but this is absolutely your schedule, what you want, and max, 2 coaching calls a day, because I would just exhaust myself and I would be so burnt out by the time I pick up my kids that they would not have a mom, right? And they'd be a shell of a mom. Then you need some buffer, right? And so what does that amount to? Is it a part-time daycare? What is it? And we're talking littles for sure, but well into elementary, middle school, they're still going to need you when they get home. So you want to have the stamina there. You want to have the energy to, okay, come on, kids, let's snack it up. Let's do homework. What are we doing here? And be in that energy, right? Because they're in that energy. They're probably maybe tired, but also excited to be home. So thinking about that. Separating mom guilt from business decisions. So being able to say no to a client call at 5 p.m. without spiraling about it, because 5 p.m. is dinner time and done. Full stop. This is dinner. No calls scheduled past 5, because after that it's bedtime, and then it's, reading to my kids. A community of other entrepreneurs who get why you're both exhausted and excited at the same time. Boundaries around work hours, right? So, yes, a real stop time that doesn't bleed into every waking hour where you're just up all night and all through the day just ruminating about, oh, gotta get that done, that done, that done, and just in your head. Financial cushion, um, or a real like a realistic runway for, your business is going to afford you this type of lifestyle that you want by this time, right? So early decisions aren't made from panic. You've got that cushion of finances, right? You've got that safety net in your bank. Permission to do things imperfectly. So the good enough version of building a business, putting social media out there, being a mom when the going gets tough, when you're really tired that day, or you're on your cycle and you need more rest than not this day. Then you want permission to just do the good enough. And there is actually a study on the good enough mother, which I actually go into on a YouTube video, which maybe I'll link if I remember it. You can just look at my channel and see that we talk about like the lazy mother effect, and how the good enough mother that was coined by a psychologist, I think in the 70s, maybe has spiraled into something that it was never intended to be, where, moms are checking out and just not very present with their kids. You also want somebody to delegate to, even, the small stuff. I'm thinking admin in your business, call scheduling, checking emails, and then at home, laundry, doing the dishes, running the errands, things like that. If you're not like just ordering online everything. But even that could be delegated. Just order on Amazon. I don't want to do it. Just check out my cart. Uh, because otherwise we're the bottleneck, right? Otherwise we're putting ourselves in the way of every decision that has to get made, and making it our responsibility to make the call, make the decision, have it be contingent on us, like having the bandwidth to make those decisions, when giving someone else the authority to make the decisions that are within reason for them to make, right? Because you trust them, they're reliable, they are resourceful, they are intelligent people, then you feel good delegating that out. And then a clear why. So we talked about the why. A clear why on the days when you're just maybe confounded with worry, or um, tied up in tension and fear. Like a lot of moms, what moms will fear is, what if this doesn't work out? What if what I'm going after and spending all my time and energy on doesn't work out? What would I do? How would I feel about that? Because you want to clear why you can return to on the days it does feel like too much. And that's when everything just piles on, right? And it feels like a pile up of problems. Maybe because you need a nap, or you need a good meal and you haven't had it yet, or um, you are now a single mom. And so you don't have a partner to help you. And so everything's on you. And so you got to pick up Johnny from school, right? And when you were supposed to be doing XYZ right now, but you got to pick him up, for whatever reason. A clear why. Why am I doing this? Why is this important? Why does this light me up? And when we find ourselves in that predicament too often, it's because we've got too much on our plate. We're piling too much on our plate. We think everything's important. We think that we've got to do it all. This goes back to the doing it all, thinking that is the only way to get through business and career, is to hustle your way there. And it's not. I mean, I dissolved that belief the minute I recognized I thought success was contingent on hard work. Success required hard work. That was what I was telling myself. I needed to do hard work to get there, because that made me respectable. Like, oh, it was hard work to get here. Like I was going to get some award for that. When I let that go and, just dissolve that thought into something more empowering, wow, my life changed. So if you can borrow that, to definitely take that on. And then lastly, rest that isn't productivity shaped. We talked about this before, that we're not thinking about our to-do list while we should be just resting, but actual downtime, right? Downtime, not what's well, this goes into something else, but actual downtime where your mind is resting, you're able to just check out and unplug, and not doing self-care that you saw someone else do and you think you need to do it now. The red light mask, that's not necessarily what you might need right now. You might need to go swimming, you know, um, get in the water and just like float and look up into the sky. Just make sure that the self-care that you spend time on is something that your body is saying, this, please. Because when you do that, everything is like, oh, okay, thank you. That's all I needed. Thank you. You know. So as you kind of heard that list and wrote something down yourself, what do you know that you need, and how can you reverse engineer? Thank you guys. I see that. Thank you. We're coming up on our time. And I do see a lot of the questions that I've already answered. So thank you. Big heart to everyone for answering that. I did answer that. So I kind of wove that in. I wove that in. You caught that good. So as you're reading through this list, or hearing this list and reading through your own list, what are you going to reverse engineer as, okay, this is my new normal. This is what I get to create and as part of my life, so that I am a present and profitable mompreneur. Really, truly, honestly. And if you need help with any of this, any clarity, if you need help just bouncing ideas off, or I just want to unload and unleash my biggest worries and fears around business, about making my business work and being a mother and juggling the two and making sure my kids are happy and providing and protecting and doing all the things that I do as a human being without totally neglecting my social life. um, I'm here. I'm here for you. This is what I do all day, every day. This is who I help. If you're in that boat and you're maybe in the identity crisis phase, you're experiencing PPD, you're still meeting with your doctor, getting everything you need there, right? For on that level. And also, you want a thought partner who gets it, who knows what you are going through, who can help you see a way through, and in fact, put you on the highest vibration that will carry you to more of the ease, right? The free flowing life that you so desire. Let's not forget that we want, right, the ease and the free flow, and not just the struggle and the strife and things that we think we that come with this, like as if that is the only way to get there. I'm here to tell you it's not, that there is more. And if you're feeling like there is more for you, I would like you to have a chat with me. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you're feeling like there's more for you, but what is it? And I don't know. And how do I make this business? I started this business and it's so not panning out to be anything that it even resembles something I look forward to every day. Then we have a breakdown. So let's clear that up. So what I'd like to do is just leave the link below to get on my calendar. And what you'll do is you'll go to, actually, let me take you there. Here. I'll show you. You'll come into this page. Let me share screen. You'll come to this page and apply now. And what's cool about this is it's a free call. You'll click this link. Feel free to read through everything. It's introducing you to the Mastermind for Entrepreneur Moms. But ultimately, and if you want to talk about that, we absolutely can. But ultimately, I would like you to walk away with like a 90-day plan for yourself to make your new normal feel like flow, feel like ease, feel like it just lights you up and it is everything that you've wished for so that you can be the mother you want to be. Because that is honestly, truly my hope here is that if you're the mother you want to be, then those kids are getting the best mom ever. And I want that for those kids. I want that for your kids. I want that for kids across the board globally. I just want kids to be held in love and attention and just know that they're safe because their mom is there, their parents are there. And from that foundation, anything is possible, right? From that foundation of feeling so incredibly loved and attended to until they were ready to fly the coop, then, just imagine what kind of footing does that give a person, right? So that's why I do what I do, for sure. If you are the mother that you want to be, then sky's the limit. But I've already mentioned my mentor says there is no limit. So I like that better. So let me revise. I'm still working on revising my own language. Sky's not the limit. There is no limit, right? It's limitless. What could come from a household like that, what the kids could create in a household like that, and how amazing you'll feel as the mother, the matriarch of that, right? Of it all. So anyway, you'll scroll down to apply now. You'll land on an application. Click on Mastermind for Entrepreneur Moms if in fact you are looking for that thought partner in me in our program, where you're going to have a small intimate cohort with other mompreneurs, and we're working through any roadblocks, any way you're bottlenecking, any way you're standing in the way of you just skyrocketing and quantum leaping your business in less time, because time is of the essence, right? Our kids need us now, right? We have no time to waste. So click on any of these or just open to suggestions. Either way, at the end of this call with me, I want you to walk away with value. And so what I want to give you, even if you're not interested in the mastermind, I want to give you a 90-day launch plan. Okay. So within 3 months, you're going to be able to know what you're working on and just be ticking away at that. And it's going to feel really simple, like almost too good to be true, simple. But watch yourself quadruple your results within those 3 months. And I call it a clarity launch plan because it's unlike any launch you probably have ever done before. And after this launch of your business or relaunching of your business, unveiling of your business, then because you're a new person now doing something new as a mom, right? You're establishing a new normal so that work doesn't take over your life, then you're going to feel like, whoa, I don't have the complete face plant of like exhaustion after something like that. Because, whoa. And you will find that everything is drawn to this energy of you knowing your worth, knowing who you are, what you want, having crystal clear vision on what it is you want to create, who you want to serve, and all of that, right? We'll go through the 7 W's actually together in that call. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. If you want to have a call with me, let's do that. Let's do that clarity launch call. At least you'll walk away with that. And if you want to learn about the mastermind, we can talk a little bit more about that and get you enrolled. Okay. And we'll get you started in the next cohort. And so that concludes our conversation. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Actually, I might go ahead and answer some of the questions on Zoom. If you're here on Zoom with me, thank you. If you are on YouTube, I'll go ahead and end our live. Thanks so much for being here. And yeah, is that right? I think so. I just don't want to click the wrong button. Let me make sure I all the this is my cockpit of all the um screens that I've got here, YouTube and Zoom and all that. So let me go ahead and answer the Zoom questions. And thank you everyone for coming on live with me, asking. So Miss Kingchild, thank you for coming on. You know that feeling, I missed which one you're talking about. If you're still here, let me know. And we will go ahead and close out. And I will let you know, anybody on YouTube, we are over on Zoom. And so you get a little bit more time with me in the Q&A if you register for the Zoom version of this masterclass. So what I'll do, if you're on my email list, I'll put the link below if you are not yet. If you get onto the email list, then you'll be notified of the next masterclass. You can register for the free Zoom call. Then we can have more of Q&A time. And so other than that, without further ado, I'll go ahead and close this out. Thank you so much for coming on live with me. And this will live on YouTube, the replay. And know that I'm here for you. However I can serve, please let me know. I'd love to support. And peace. That takes us out.